Hi everyone, I'm Kate Kennedy and I'm here with day 81 of 100 Days of Cane, PA. And today we are going to be talking about a very popular sport and how it came to Cane. It's called pickleball. For those of you who haven't heard about it, you're going to learn all about it today. And for those of you who know about it, you're going to hear how it's happening in Cane. So I'm going to go ahead and flip you around and we're going to come on over and talk to one of the founders and state players. We have Becky Forkalov and Keith Regal. And so let's go ahead and start with you, Becky. Let's begin with, how did you get to Cane?
Well, I didn't grow up in Cane, but I grew up in Corey, but my parents grew up in Cane, and Cane is where all my ancestors immigrated to many, many years ago. My Italian ancestors, there were 5 brothers that came in the 1800s, and then my Swedish relatives there were a bunch of siblings, and then their parents came too, and they bought land from Thomas Cane to start farming.
Wow.
And then my German relatives are the Cooks from Cook's Forest. I'm a descendant of John Cook. And the Pops and the Cooks were both from that area, and they were here in Revolution. Some participated in the Revolutionary War.
Wow.
So
yeah, your roots in Cane go very far back.
Right. And then we would come to Cane every weekend, almost every weekend, to see my grandparents. I had both sets of grandparents, and then I had a set of great-grandparents here. My dad bought some land down the road where we live now, down by Bob's Trading Post. He bought land there and built a hunting cabin, and we'd come to the hunting cabin all the time. And after I got married, my husband and I lived in Sharon, and we kept coming to Cane so my husband could hunt and fish. And he wanted to get a job up here, so after about 5 years, he got a job up here.
And what year did you move to Cane?
I think it was about 1976, something like
1976. So you've
something
been
like
around
that.
for a while.
Yeah. So I feel like Cane's my home.
Yeah.
It's home is where the heart is, and my heart's here.
Real quick, we were talking earlier, and you told me how you and your husband met. Could you tell us that too?
Yeah. I was in college, and my husband was in college. I was in Lock Haven State University, and he was at Slippery Rock. And I was down at the camp, down at my dad's hunting camp, and looking for a summer job. And I decided to walk up to Camp Corn Planter and see if they had a job for me. So I walked up there and got a job at Camp Corn Planter, and my husband also got a job at Corn Planter. He had a sister who was Downs, and so Camp Corn Planter was a special needs camp for special needs children. And so that's where we met, and then a year later, I think, we got engaged and got married.
And now you guys moved to Cane and call it home.
Right. And and also all my siblings, we all grew up in Corey, but every single one of my siblings, after my parents moved to Cane, they all now live in Cane.
Everyone
like got jobs near Cane, because we all feel like Cane's home.
That is awesome. Great story, Becky. Thank you. And Keith, you're from Cane, right?
Yes.
Born and raised.
I was born in James City, and we moved around a little bit. We lived in Mount Jewett for a little bit, but mostly we lived in Cane our whole lives, and went to Cane High School, graduated in 1968. I went in the Air Force in 1970, and my wife talked me into staying in, and I retired in 1990. We came back home, bought her mother's house, and after that, the rest is history. I retired, and then I was working, trying to find out what am I going to do after I get out of the Air Force, and I knew they had a Recreation Culture Commission, so I got a hold of the Recreation Culture Commission. When I retired, I came home, and I actually taught tennis for a little bit, and did swimming lessons and bowling for a few years. So that's where this pickleball, when I saw it, when Becky and them brought it up from Florida, it was just like, wow, this is pretty cool. And it's such a change because of the ball. In tennis, you can have a big guy that could overpower, or anybody that could hit the ball hard. He can overpower somebody. But now, size kind of doesn't matter. Yeah, they can hit the ball hard or whatever, but the size thing doesn't come into effect as much, plus the power. And it's just such a great game. When you watch some of the pros, like 20 plus I played in a pickleball tournament in Pittsburgh called Gamma Classic, and there was like 28 pros there, and from all over the country. The kid won it was from Freeland, Washington, and he had a two-handed backhand, and that's like very unusual for pickleball because the paddle's so small. Number one, and number two, the guys are usually so strong that they don't need to use two hands. But this kid was just phenomenal.
So you've always had an interest in athletics, and so when pickleball came into your path, you decided to give it a try. And before we get into a little bit more of how involved you've gotten in pickleball, I want to hear, how did it come to Kane? Becky, would you tell us that story of how did pickleball come to Kane?
Well, I was vacationing in Florida, and I learned to play pickleball down there. It's very big in pickleball. It's very big in Florida. And so my husband and I learned how to play, and we decided to be a good fit for Kane. I came up to Kane. I went to the school district, and I asked them if I could go to the lunch, the different lunch rooms, and try to promote it, because I knew the teachers all had off in the summer, and maybe I could get it started that way. So I did that, and that first summer we were almost all teachers. But now we have people from lots of different
Little towns around here.
a lot of towns, and we have people that worked at the prison. We have somebody that comes in from the Lance Corners RV park. We have just people from all walks of life, I guess.
Yeah.
That's awesome. About how long ago was that, Becky, that you brought?
I think it was 7 or 8 years.
Okay, so you started, put the call out there, started teaching it. And how did you get involved? How did you learn about it and learn to play pickleball?
Well, basically, I just learned to play pickleball when Becky and her husband brought it up. It was, like I said, I had a lot of background in tennis, but when Becky brought it up, I thought, wow, this is pretty awesome. So playing a little bit, I got to travel. I go down to Warren and play with some friends that I play tennis with, and they're more into tennis, like I said, so their pickleball was a little higher skill level, but just the promotion and getting it spread out through the communities now, I think every little community around has it. Wilcox has it, Johnsburg and Wilcox combined, Ridgeway, Warren, I mean, every little community around now has it. It's just a matter of promoting it and playing in different tournaments and, getting to know the different people. And you talk about like Becky was talking about, the walks of life. It's just amazing that what people do for this sport. There's people that travel and they're actually like tennis, and that's not as big, but they're actually getting sponsored by like the vendors, the pickleball paddles, or people that have like that. So they travel all over the country to play in these tournaments, and it's really awesome. The people are just so kind and just down to heart, it's really nice.
So you originally learned from Becky and her husband,
Yes.
but then you've since gone on and played in some tournaments, and you even have medaled in some.
Yes.
Could you tell us a story about one of the tournaments that meant a lot to you?
Well, the one that meant a lot, I think, especially for me, was the Gamma Pickleball Classic this year. Last year, 2018, I went down in the first day in men's doubles. I had a partial tear in my calf muscle, and I was not able to finish the tournament. So I went out to physical therapy, and they worked me in, and I thought, well, you know what, I'm going to try it out. I asked the therapist, do you think I'm ready to go ahead and try it? So I did, and then I went back this year, and I actually was able to win the singles 4.0 65-69 championship this year. So it was
Congratulations!
Just, to
That's
me, it was
awesome.
a great to come back, because you never know. Number one, about the injury, what level, what part, because it wasn't broken, it wasn't, so sometimes those are the worst injuries. You're not sure how it's going to respond, and I said, well, you don't know until you try it. So that to me was probably the best. Another one for me was back in 2016. I played down in Delaware Senior Games and the Pennsylvania Games to qualify. They have what they call Senior Games, National Senior Games, but they're only every 2 years, and there are different parts. They travel all over the country. The 2017 one was in Birmingham, Alabama, and I retired from the Air Force in Montgomery, Alabama, so I kind of wanted to go down there, even though it's an hour or so away. I wanted to go down there, and so I qualified down in Delaware, and I went down to Birmingham, Alabama. That was really neat, you see thousands of players that, and see the size of the place where they play. There's like 50 courts, and it's all ages. I mean, you stop to think, senior nationals, it's 50 and above, and there's people in their 80s and 90s that were playing in this tournament. It's just, that's what I want to do. When I get 80, I want to be able to say that I can play pickleball, number one, and number two, I can travel to different states and play and meet people.
That's awesome.
And that to me is the thing with the pickleball community.
Well, congratulations on all of your
Thank you.
medals too. That's awesome. And as much as it's competitive, Becky, we were talking earlier, you said that it's really also a very social sport.
It's very, very social. You're not that far away from your partner, so you talk and you just joke around and laugh and have a good time. It's really easy to pick up because it's not like a tennis serve, it's a badminton serve, it's an underhand serve, anybody can do it. You can have fun the first time you play. We welcome new players. We had 2 new players on Friday. And we have extra paddles here. All you need is sneakers. And what's that?
Liquid, drink, something to
Yes,
drink.
yeah, something to drink.
Hydrate.
Hydrate. Absolutely.
Yeah, right.
Well, and these
So-
are the tennis courts, the Kane tennis courts here by the Old Chestnut Elementary School. But there are these unusual yellow lines on there too, which are the pickleball lines, huh?
Right.
So what's the story of that? How did you guys get the pickleball lines on the court?
Well, first I wasn't real sure that they'd let us play here, but we first had some rope that we used around those cones. We tried that. That didn't work real well, but and then I think we taped for a little while, and the tape would always come up. So then we started chalking the lines, and then every time it rained, we had to re-chalk. And I knew they were going to redo the tennis courts, and so I thought I'll go to the borough and see if they'll do pickleball lines for me, because they were going to do the new tennis lines and everything. And at first they said, well, how about we'll give you the paint and you guys can paint them on. And I said, did you ever see my chalk lines? I said, you don't want me painting pickleball lines. They won't be straight. And they said, okay, we'll have pickleball lines. But when I first brought pickleball to town, I was kind of a little worried that tennis players would have a fit that we had the tennis lines there. I mean, the pickleball lines on the tennis courts. But I haven't had any flack. I was... He was real nice right away, and he wasn't a pickleball player then. He was a tennis player. So I talked to him and I said, do you think there's going to be any problems? And he told me no. So
it seems like people are just happy the courts are being used for many different reasons, right? Is that right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, this is great. I'm so excited to see the pickleball in action behind you guys here. Is there anything else that you wanted to share today? Any other stories or things that you didn't get a chance to talk about that you wanted to?
Well, right now we're playing Monday, Wednesday, Friday mornings from 9 to 11, and Sunday evenings from 6 to 8. We don't usually have as many people on Sunday evenings, but actually, beginners, if anybody wants to learn pickleball, we're happy to teach you anytime you show up, or if you contact one of us and you want a private lesson, that's fine too. There's not any charge. We just want to introduce more people to the sport.
That's awesome. What a great sport. Anything else from you, Keith?
No, I think that's about it. Like I said, it's growing in the area because one of my friends from Newcastle, Pennsylvania, actually is a 4.5 player, and he's traveled all over the country and all over the world actually and play. He's a YMCA director. He talked with my friend down in Warren. We're actually going to have a clinic. I think she said it was October 19th, where he's going to teach every level, from beginners up to
Experience.
because everybody can learn something.
Yeah.
I don't care how skilled you are. I learned something this weekend by playing with my 4.5 player from Maryland, because I was kind of used to hitting singles, and it's an entirely different game. So I'm hitting the ball hard, where in doubles, you got to slow the ball down. So it was a great experience this weekend playing with him.
That's
and
awesome.
playing against 2 4.5 players from Pennsylvania that were great players. They teamed well.
And this weekend you got second place.
I got second place in 65 to 69.
Love it.
Yeah, I got second place in the singles in 65 to 69, and I got second in the men's doubles in 65 to 69.
Well, thank you for representing Kane
Thank
in
you.
all of
Yeah,
these
we're proud
state
of. We're really
tournaments.
proud of him.
You must
really
be,
proud
of
of
course, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, anything else before we wrap up today?
No?
I guess I don't think we said where all the people come from. I mean, we have players that come here from St. Mary's and Emporium and Bradford, Port Allegheny, Wilcox.
Yeah.
Where else?
Lance
But-
Corners.
wherever.
Lance
Yeah.
Corners,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah.
Kane is a little meeting place for pickleball
It is.
enthusiasts.
Yeah, and we've met
Yeah.
new friends, people we didn't know before. It's really very community building.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for bringing it and for your dedication to playing and for making it open to anyone who wants to come.
Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right. All right, you guys, thanks so much for watching. I love learning about new, well, I guess it's not that new, but it's a newer trend that has come to Kane. Pickleball has been here for about 8 years, and it sounds like a really fun way to get to know more people right here in Kane. So if you're interested, definitely come down Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 9 a.m. to 11 p.m. or Sundays from 6 to 8 p.m. And I loved hearing the stories. It's great to have representation from Kane in these different tournaments across the country. Keith's doing a great job with that. So thanks for tuning in and hearing the stories about pickleball here in Kane. And we will see you again tomorrow for day 82.